Hello and welcome to Radio Waves. I'm your host, Kris Poliquin, and this is a production of Red Apples Media. And we're broadcasting out of WLBE My 790 AM out of Leesburg, Florida. And if you're watching on Lake Sumter Television, you're doing so on Comcast Channel 13, Bright House 498, and Century Prism Channel 83. So today I have invited Lori Humphrey, who is the project manager for the Shared Services Network in Lake County. And we're going to discuss what exactly that organization is for those who don't and what they do. And then hopefully we'll have enough time by the end of the segment to talk about some of the events they have coming up. So Lori, with that, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. It really is. So let's talk about Lake County Shared Service Network. I've been here for several years, and no offense, I've never heard of this organization. And after doing a little bit of research, you guys are just about almost like a puppet master, handling things behind the scene. Can you explain to our listeners and our viewers a little bit about what you do, maybe where it came about?
That's kind of a good way to explain what we do. We are kind of puppet masters. Actually, we started about 15 years ago. The Shared Services Network is a federal program that came down through the state. We were one of the last counties to receive a grant to start a shared services. The grant was designed to take a school district and use that as the hub to connect all the government agencies and nonprofits within that county so that everybody could be on the same page, working together on children's issues based on the data of things that we were seeing that needed to be addressed. The original grant was for 3.5 years for startup, and after that, if the community felt it was worthy, then they would have community funding. And so we would go to the different agencies or the leaders of those groups and say, if this is something that you feel is a benefit to our community and you want to continue it, we'd ask that you fund it. And as you know, I said we've been going for 15 years. So for the last 12 years, we've been community funded. Even through some of the hardest economic times, they chose to make that a priority for their budgets. And so that was quite honoring to me.
So now when you say community funded, just to be clear, are we talking fundraisers or are we talking about organizations and local governments?
We're talking about organizations and governments.
Okay.
We've received funding everywhere from Lake County School District to the Sheriff's Department, through Kids Central, through Lake Sumter State College. And we try to vary it around as much as possible. The majority of the money comes from the Sheriff's Department through seized money and through crime, seized money, and we use that for prevention programs.
Okay, and so when you say prevention, and you mentioned this is more directed towards the children and their families, what all kind of services do you provide, or are you more the liaison to help other services provide their?
Right. We are a community collaborative, which means we're not a service provider and we're not a 501c3. Because if we were, we'd be in competition with the people that we're trying to network with. So we never want to be a nonprofit. Community collaborative is just that. It just brings people together. I facilitate the conversation. We'll look at data from the state or from the feds, but then we really go back to our agencies in our community. We're not mandated to do anything. Therefore, we can decide what we want to work on. We can look at our data, look at our concerns in the community, and decide, is this something that we need? Is this something that we want to put our money towards and our efforts towards to make a difference for our children? So in the past, we've done everything from child abuse and neglect to literacy. Back when we were looking at Jessica Lunsford and Sarah Lundy, there was a big concern, and we needed to address those parents who had concerns about abuse and neglect as well as abduction. So we did escape school. We provided escape schools in 3 areas of our county. For the last, almost 15 years now, this will be our 15th year, we have been doing the Child Protection Conference. And that was supposed to be a one-time thing, because we don't like to continue the same project year after year because there's no room for anything new. We try to focus on 3 to 5 projects at a time, get those successfully completed, decide if they need more attention or if it's something we can open the door to another area. Because simply if we take on everything, we're going to get nothing done. So we really try to prioritize.
You can't be spread too thin.
Right. So the Child Protection Conference originated when we were first getting started. And I asked the regional director of DCF, what's one thing, if you could really make a difference in Lake County for our children and families, what's one thing? And she said, well, I really need to get everybody on the same page for mandatory reporting. And I thought, well, isn't that a simple thing? We all know.
Isn't that automatic?
Right. I've been in the school system since 1994. And I said, I've heard about it every single year. But we found out, we have a 90-mile long county, and sometimes things are done differently in one end to the other. And so we found out that even at our different schools, sometimes they were reporting differently. They were either faxing it in or calling it in or relying on someone else. So what we did is we brought DCF in, and we had them come to faculty meetings, and they had their own team with a PowerPoint presentation to get everyone on the same page. So we were all doing it the same way to be most effective and to make sure that our kids were safe is the biggest thing. Well, that went over so well that some of our community partners said, well, we think we're mandatory reporters too, so what do we do? So we decided to have an event, show that PowerPoint, bring in a few other agencies to be able to do some talk, and that was going to be a one-time thing. Well, 15 years later, we're still doing the Child Protection Conference, and we sell out every year. We've had to move about 3 or 4 different times now because we keep growing. We average about 400 people now from 11 to 12 counties will come to the conference. So it's pretty powerful.
It certainly sounds like it.
Yeah.
And what's amazing to me is that, again, I don't see your logos. I don't see you're almost like an invisible hand, not mafia, but but you know what I mean.
Right.
And it's just surprising how many organizations that have, I think, a direct impact such as yours.
Well, our goal
and no one knows about it.
Right.
So before we go any further, is there, if someone wanted to get information, where can they get the information about?
We have a website. And the reason behind, you probably haven't heard much about us, is we don't want to promote ourselves. We're a network, and we want to highlight the agencies and what they do and bring resources, or sometimes it's just communication. Collaboration may just be saying, oh, I can do this and you can do that, so let's do it together to make it even better. So we don't want to really put shared services on the pedestal because we really don't do anything. We just bring those people together. It's those agencies and organizations that do all the work. So we want to make sure that they're getting credit for what they're doing, but we just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
And help them facilitate and coordinate amongst each others.
Right.
So can you run through a couple of, so that our listeners know, who are your partners or your...
Well, I don't think I finished answering your question either. I'm
sorry.
That's okay. I just realized.
No,
you're fine.
Answer that question
to
first.
Be able to find us, I am housed under Lake County Schools at Student Services in the Howey office.
Okay.
And you can reach me by phone at 352-742-6941. Or you can go to our website, which is www.lakessn.com. And all of our projects and partners are there, our schedules. All of our meetings are open to the public, so anyone can join us if they want to play a part. But that's the best way to reach us. I'm only a part-time person, so I'm there in the mornings. But email is the best, and I am through the school district email at humphreyl@lake.k12.fl.us. So that's the best way to reach me. Now, the groups that we work with, we have an infrastructure of 2 main parts. Our first part, which was probably closer to a board of directors if we were, a nonprofit, we call them the Executive Roundtable. That is a group of about 15 people in our community, and it's a non-designee group. It's by position, so therefore every time we have an election or if someone retires, we're not out seeking the replacement. Whoever takes over that position automatically has the seat on the round table.
Okay.
And this is made up of the leadership. So, for example, you'll have the superintendent of schools, the sheriff, one of our county commissioners, the head of the health department, the head of DCF, DJJ, United Way, our court system, Lake Sumter State College. So we're talking the true movers and shakers of our
Lake County.
Yes. And we're very unique because we're the only organization of its kind that brings that leadership together on a regular basis. And so they meet 4 times a year. Like I said, those meetings are open to the public. And we'll discuss our agenda, but then we also always have a time of public input and roundtable discussion. So if there's something that's not on the agenda that someone's really needing some direction on or just want to be able to speak to that leadership, we have that opportunity. And I always say some of the best meetings happen after or before the meeting, because people will know, oh, well, they're going to be at shared services, so I'll go ahead and I'll catch up with them then. So it's a great networking opportunity. And as you said, we have so many great things happening, but most of the time people just don't know about them.
Yeah.
Or, you live in a different area of the county and you just don't have access to that. This is a good way to be able to get access to that and see what's going on.
Okay. So you've got the executive roundtable, and then the steering committee.
Right. The steering committee is our monthly working group. That is made up of designees from the executive roundtable, as well as all of our nonprofit agencies. So everything from faith-based to different government agencies, to like our YMCA, our Boys and Girls Clubs, our Guardian Ad Litem, all of those different groups are represented on the Shared Services Steering Committee.
Okay.
So they meet monthly. They're the ones that really get into the nuts and bolts. We're the ones that look at the data to say, okay, well, we're seeing a concern in this particular area. Let's really zone in and see what resources that we already have there. What kind of statistics have we seen? Is this truly the issue, or is this the result of a bigger problem? What can we do to really get to the nitty gritty and make it successful?
Boots on the ground.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, Lori, thank you for that information. We need to take a quick break.
Sure.
But when we return, I'd like to start getting into some of the projects.
Absolutely.
And kind of go from there.
Would love to.
So we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Radio Waves. Again, I'm your host, Kris Poliquin, and this is a production of Red Apples Media. Today, my guest is Lori Humphrey, Project Manager for Shared Services Network for Lake County. And we were talking about the organization of Shared Services Network. I told you I was going to do that.
That's okay.
And now I'd kind of like you to get into some of the projects that we're looking at and that people can expect to see or maybe participate in the near future.
Yes, we have 3 main projects that we're working on right now. We have others, but I knew for the sake of your show, these would be the ones that the community really wants to hear about. We had mentioned before that sometimes right hand doesn't know what left hand's doing. And in this age, it's hard to hear of everything that's taking place, but we have found the common ground is through social media. So we decided to start a Facebook page, simple as that, where parents and community partners could come together and get information that was accurate and in a timely fashion. So we started a thing called It Takes a Village Lake County, and it's simply on Facebook, where you can go to It Takes a Village Lake County, and you have to be approved. We do have some safeguards in place.
Okay, believe it or not, I was going to ask.
Yes.
Okay.
We have administrators that will vet that and go through and make sure that you are who you say you are. And you can come on and join us that way. We have asked our community partners to already be on it. So there's about 500 people on here right now. And the community partners are ready. So if you have a question, you're going to get it directly from that partner. For example, if you have a 4-year-old and you're looking and you have interest in VPK, which is volunteer pre-kindergarten, and you say, well, I know there's agencies out there and I know there's some places, but I don't know where to get started. I don't know how to get on the waiting list. If there is a waiting list, what do I do? You can pose that question on It Takes a Village, and someone from the Early Learning Coalition is going to answer your question and tell you exactly what you need to do. So it's just getting direct information. Because a lot of times we spend most of our time searching for the resource instead of the resource coming to us.
Right.
This way, we have those resources in a one-stop shop. So like during the hurricane, it was great.
And you're talking about professionals. I mean,
Absolutely.
Experts in the fields,
right.
not
just anybody answering a question because they think they know the answer.
Right.
These are the ones who truly do know the answers. During the hurricane, as you know, in some cases, all the information we could get was from the internet, and you only had so much data to use. So what we were doing during that time is taking information from the Sheriff's Department, from the EOC, from the school district, all of their sites, and putting it all on ours. And sometimes, people want to release information so fast that's not always accurate information.
Right.
And we had a situation where we were talking about school closings and then talking about reopening. And there was a lot of rumors going around. And so we were making sure that the information that was coming directly from the public information officer of the school district is what was going on our page, so that there was no doubt. And even though it might take us a couple of minutes longer, we were going to have the accurate information. So that was very helpful for people just to be able to find out everything from schools to debris pickup, to find out, services that were open or not open. We even had people posting where you could get water, just whatever the community needed at that time in a one-stop shop.
And there you go. It takes a village.
It takes a village, yeah. The other project that I mentioned earlier in the segment was our Child Protection Conference. And this is the one that was supposed to be the one-time thing that's now in our 15th time. This has gotten to be one of our claims to fame, really. We have this year Kevin Hines, and he is a national expert on suicide and mental illness. And as you know, we have definitely had a lot of tragedies lately in Lake County dealing with some of our youth with suicide. And so this is very timely that we have him coming in. Kevin is actually one of the 1%ers, and he is a 1%er of the people who actually survive a jump from the Golden Gate Bridge. He was 17 years old.
Wow.
He was going through mental illness, and it all led him to the Golden Gate Bridge. And he talks about his experience and how he actually survived it, and now what he wants to tell people about that and how to really help them if they're going through that. And what's unique this time, too, is his wife is coming with him. And she is a layperson. She's not an expert in mental health, but she's going to give us the perspective of the caregiver. Because a lot of times you're not the expert, but you're the ones that have the direct relationship that needs to be the one as the first responder.
Not the caregiver, or not the expert, but you're the one with the experience.
Right. So she's going to be joining him with that. The other speaker we have coming is another nationally known expert on youth violence and actually on killing, believe it or not. He talks about youth. He gets into the minds of teens, of what leads them to violence and unfortunately to killing. I mean, I was watching the news today. We had a shooting in, I believe it was New Mexico. I haven't gotten all the details yet, in a school. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the last of suicides and school shootings and terrible things that happen in the world. But we want to try to be as proactive as we can to give people the tools and the resources to know what to do in that situation. So these two experts are coming in, and we are so excited because we are bringing in top-level speakers to our county. This is going to be at the Father's House in Leesburg on February 15th. Okay. And it's $25. That includes the entire day. It'll include your lunch, and it also will be about 25 different exhibitors during the lunch break that you can connect directly to for more information and networking. So like I said, this sells out. So if you go to the website I mentioned before, lakessn.com, you can get a copy of the flyer and the registration form and get that to me because registration actually opened this week. And so it will sell out, I have no doubt.
And those are some powerful
very timely and powerful.
Speakers.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing because I had lined up both of these speakers early on in the year, way before we knew the suicide situation was coming. And I've been on the phone with Kevin and his wife each time that we've heard about another suicide, and they have been so gracious to send us resources and information. And they said, whatever we can do, we want to help. Wow. So it's perfect time. It'll be an opportunity for learning and for healing.
And again, real quick, when is this event?
This is February 15th at the Father's House in Leesburg. You do need to pre-register. We start selling out at 350 people, and we usually end up with about 400. And that's all that we're allowed to fit.
Right.
So in order to make sure you have a seat, you'll need to pre-register and just go to the website and get the information.
And now, I was doing, like I said, I did a little bit of research.
You have. You did your homework.
This is all three of these are, I deem important and interesting.
Yes.
But now RAM.
Yes.
This is something else.
Right.
And again, another organization that probably doesn't get the exposure it deserves.
Exactly. RAM stands for Remote Area Medical. And I had the pleasure of having Bob Bostic of Deliver the Difference. He's the one who met up with RAM and said, we want to bring this to Lake County. So Bob called me and said, would you like to partner with this? And I said, absolutely. You know, all of our agencies are just gung-ho for this. RAM is a very unique organization where it is completely free, and they travel around the nation bringing medical, dental, and vision care to residents free of charge. It doesn't matter if they have insurance. It doesn't matter if they have any type of federal assistance. It doesn't matter where they reside. It doesn't even matter if they're documented. So you may be a family who, after the hurricane, you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you're going to have to forgo that annual exam because you can't afford the copay this year.
Right.
Well, this is going to be an opportunity that you can get like a regular well check, come in, and it's totally free. We have some sponsors that are helping us with that. But RAM does all of this as a voluntary basis. They're based in Knoxville, and they will bring about a dozen semi-trailers to the fairgrounds in March, and they will set up, and the entire fairgrounds will become a medical clinic. And what's so unique about this, people hear about, clinics and fairs and different things, but this is very hands-on. This is not designed to promote anyone, but simply to give access to health care for people.
And just to be clear, this isn't a 110 show.
No.
This isn't a free flu shot. This
No.
is. I was astonished.
Yes.
This is a big, practically a hospital.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a mobile hospital. That's a good way to explain it. What RAM does, like I said, they travel around the nation, and Florida in the past has only had 2 locations, one I think in Bradenton and the other one up in the Panhandle. So we are very fortunate to bring this to Lake County, and they just want to go out and provide services. And a lot of times when you go to a medical clinic, like you said, you'll get a flu shot, you might be able to get blood pressure or things of that nature looked at. This is if you were to go and take your child to a well check and have all of those things done that you would at a regular office visit, even if you're a woman and you haven't been able to go to your OBGYN, Women's Health will be there as well. You can get all of those services. Quest Diagnostics will be there with a mobile lab doing lab results right then. One of the biggest draws that we have is the vision and dental, because a lot of people have insurance, but it doesn't cover vision and dental.
Right.
And this is huge. This is what everybody really wants. With the vision part, this is so remarkable to me as well. We're so excited. You can come in, you'll see an eye doctor. You can get your vision tested. They'll do exams. They'll do whatever you need at that time. If they deem that you need a prescription for glasses, you will go over to the next building. They will fit you for glasses with your prescription. You pick out your frames, brand new frames. You pick them out, and you will go home that day with free glasses. If you need dental, you can go through the dental part of it. You'll have doctors and hygienists if you just want a cleaning, if you need extractions, if you need fillings, whatever you would do at a regular dentist visit, they will do for you, completely free of charge.
And no questions asked.
No
but
questions
there's a
asked.
caveat to this. Okay, it's how long are they there, and
Yes.
who gets to go to this?
This is where you really have to be ready for it. We are offering our clinic on March 3rd and 4th at the fairgrounds. This is totally first come, first serve. As I mentioned, you don't have to have any pre-registration or any credentials or documentation with you. You will get there. We will have the fairgrounds open the gates at midnight. And the Sheriff's Department will be helping us with crowd control and lighting and those types of things. You will come in at 3 a.m. They will start dispersing numbers. As I said, first come, first serve. At 6 a.m., the doors will open, and Stan Brock from Mutual of Omaha, who is the founder of RAM, will be
He's
the
been
one.
doing this
He's done this for years.
decades,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And he does try to come to every event that he possibly can. So hopefully he'll be actually there. He'll start dispersing the numbers. We expect to service close to 2,000 people over the weekend. So it's a fast moving.
incredible.
It takes 600 to 800 volunteers. So we are not only promoting for patients to come, but for also volunteers. If you have a medical background, or if you don't have a medical background, we can use you. If you if you want to volunteer, all you need to do is go to the RAM website, or if you just want information about it, they have a wonderful website with lots of information. It's ramusa.org. You can go to their website. You can hear more about the program. You can see photos from other clinics. You can see what's offered. And if you want to volunteer, there's a volunteer link, and you can go right on there, fill out the information, and we will get you into volunteer.
Oh, it's great information, Lori.
Yeah,
that's
so
all the
excited.
time we have for today. But thank you so much for being my guest, and I hope this helps get your message out there.
I hope so. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That concludes our show for today. This has been Radio Waves. I'm your host, Kris Poliquin. We'll see you next time.